Hey guys, remember to like the video and hit subscribe.
This gives people mental illness. It gives people mental illness. Tell them the truth, okay? We, your older generation, we took the opportunities, and now it is almost impossible to get out of poverty. And don't just stand up there and wave, your millions of pounds in front of them and say, if you were entrepreneurial like me, you could do it, you could have it. Because it's sick, because they can't. They can't feed.
You're not even entrepreneurial. Why is he saying that? Or wait, he's saying the other guy's saying they're entrepreneurial.
Your millions of pounds in front of them and say, if you were entrepreneurial like
never mind, sorry.
Me, you could do it, you could have it. Because it's sick, because they can't.
Don't you agree with him on the general principle, even if you don't agree on the method? On what general principle? No. People can change income classes. People can change. It's retarded. It's just retarded.
Who can't afford to turn the heating on, you just need to be more entrepreneurial.
Or actually, let me qualify that a little bit. I'm always speaking from a U.S. perspective. I can't speak to specific economic problems in the UK. UK might be facing a whole different set of challenges right now that are different than the United States.
It's sick, Dan, it's sick. But this gives people mental illness. It gives...
Oh, but the guy he's talking to, because we watched this full talk, the other guy, the guy he's talking to also says retarded shit, though. The idea that everybody can just become an entrepreneur, everybody can start a business, that's stupid as fuck.
People mental illness. Tell them the truth, okay? We, your older generation, we took the opportunities, and now it is almost impossible to get out of poverty. And don't just stand up there and wave, your millions of pounds in front of them and say, if you were entrepreneurial like me, you could do it, you could have it. Because it's sick, because they can't. They can't feed their kids, Dan. They can't turn the heating on. Don't tell them to be more entrepreneurial. Fix the system that drives more and more and more of them into poverty every generation. I come from...
Ben Shapiro had actually good advice for poor people, or there were 3 things. We should just design social policy around these 3 things. Oh, shit. Matt Brunig says it's nonsense. Oh, no.
Hey, everyone.
33-minute video on it.
So my question just sort of focuses on 2 sort of different things you've been talking about. One, which is focusing on the decisions people...
Whatever happened to that survey you posted? Did you get any insight? No, unfortunately I didn't. I posted it. I mean, it was good, but all of my intuitions about my community were kind of more or less correct. I was hoping that there'd be some huge thing that I hadn't seen that it would demonstrate, but...
People make and how that influences how successful they are. And 2, you made a comment saying, in America, we don't afford you, equality of wealth or things like that. We give you equality of access.
Well, equal access to rights, not equal access.
Okay.
There is a difference. What I mean by equal access to rights, obviously, is I mean that no one's going to get in your way, that the rights that you hold are the same as the rights that I hold. But when I'm saying, and if somebody blocks them, then that's blocking your access. But what I don't mean is that a person who has $1 million in the bank is equally situated with a person with $5 in the bank, because obviously that's stupid.
Yes, and I would agree that that's stupid.
Good, we're in agreement on stupidity. All right.
Yeah, something we can agree on. I do want to sort of extend that into, I do personally believe that the number 1 factor in a lot of these sort of things are the decisions you make. But a lot of what affects your decisions is sort of where you start out, and sometimes that's like a long sort of cultural argument and things like that.
Sure.
But other times, it's something more basic, like, well, if you weren't born into as wealthy a family, it's harder to go to a nicer college, and you're pressured to take another job so you don't finish high school, or you have to take care of, it's a single-parent household, which you didn't decide, your parents made poor decision.
Yes.
But then you have to take care of your little siblings or things like that, so then it becomes harder for you to maintain your job, and you lose that. So I think there's a lot of sort of things that
100%
affect
this
those
is correct, yeah.
3 sort of key tickets you talked about that are heavily influenced by factors entirely out of a person's
Well, I
control.
mean, not having babies out of wedlock is definitely not influenced by factors beyond your control. I mean, unless you have uncontrollable genitalia. So that's it. So the fact is that just because you had a single mom doesn't mean that you have to follow in the pattern. Bottom line is that when you have cycles of poverty, somebody's going to have to break that at some point, and that's going to take an act of will. When it comes to graduating from high school, the number of people who are dropping out of high school because they need to, support their family.
I guess the thing that always bothers me for conservatives, and I mean, it bothers me on the left for the opposite reason, but the thing that bothers me for conservatives when they talk about issues that, like people making bad choices, it seems like they are either reluctant to admit or just don't engage with the fact that, yeah, there are people that make bad choices, but can we admit that, like, overwhelmingly the bad choices are made by people that are in environments to make those bad choices, right? Like, I brought this up a lot. Like, I would never sell drugs in high school because why the f would I? Like, I've got, before school and after school stuff going on. I've got parents, at least for my first 2 years, that care about me and don't want me to, sell drugs or do shit. Like, I've got an environment of other friends and people that don't, like, the idea of, like, selling drugs in high school just wouldn't even cross my mind. I don't even know if I would have the opportunity to. I don't know if I'd be able to if I wanted to. But different people in different communities have access to different choices. And I feel like those are the things that we should focus on from a public policy perspective. I think the individual advice is still good, but you have to, from the policy side, you have to see what you can change in the public, right?
Support their family is incredibly low in the United States. But if that's the case, then, I'll give you an example. There's a listener of mine who's a young woman, I think she's probably 18 years old, who emailed me the other day, and she said, you have your 3 rules, right? Don't have babies before marriage and finish high school and then get a job. And she said, I love your show. I agree with everything you say. I also broke one of those rules. So I have a baby. I had a baby when I was 15 years old. And what should I do about that? And I said, well, I replied to her.
Get rid of it. Just kidding.
So what's your social structure like? What did you have parents nearby who can help out with your kid? Do you have a church that you belong to? People who you can rely on? And she said, well, I'm not really a member of a church. I don't have like a huge social structure. I have my mom. My mom's also a single mom because there are these pathologies where there are generations of single mothers. And so what should I do? And she said, well, I went ahead and I got my GED. And now I'm trying to go to community college, but I don't have money for childcare. I don't have money for childcare. My mom works. So what should I do? And I said, well, why don't you put together a GoFundMe and get it to me, and I'll push it out there. And so she sent me a GoFundMe. I put $100 in the kitty, and an hour and a half later, she had $6,000. The reason that I did that.
Okay, but that's not like a. I feel really bad because sometimes I have friends with people I know that are like, oh, can I promote my cat's GoFundMe, or there's a GoFundMe for my mom or something. And as much as I'd like to, the problem is if I do one of these, a whole bunch of people, friends and strangers, will start asking me, oh, can I GoFundMe for this, or can I GoFundMe for that? And it's like, now I have to say no. And yeah, I'm surprised Ben did that at all, but.
And the reason that I tell this story is not because I'm such a wonderful dude, although I am. The reason that the reason that I tell this story is because there is a world of willing people who are willing to give and help you escape these things if you want to make the effort. There's whole groups of people out there. There's whole organizations dedicated to helping you escape making bad decisions, dedicated to helping you get out of poverty. And if
Yeah, but we can't just create better environments out of thin air. Well, that's the beauty of it. You can create better environments through government subsidies. It is possible to do that, or government programs. I mean, you can also have like community programs as well, but it's much more realistic to craft a better environment for people to make better choices than to just come up on stage and be like, all right, guys, 3 things. And I agree with these 3 pieces of advice that Ben gives. Don't have a kid before you're ready. He says out of wedlock, but I mean, even if you're married, it doesn't matter. Just don't have a kid before you're ready. Finish high school. It's essential. It might today mean also get your associates or go to college if you can, but at the very least finish high school and get a job. And if you can do those 3 things, you're going to be better than a person who's like trapped in generational poverty, having their life destroyed, okay? Those 3 things are important, but you can set people up for success by crafting an environment that allows them to pursue those 3 things to the best of their abilities, right? So having birth control available to people. California has investments in birth control. It saves the state money, right? Because the more people that are on birth control, the less people that have kids out of wedlock, the less the state has to pay to support, broken families, and then incarceration rates and everything else that are all the bad downstream effects of having kids out of wedlock or before you're ready to have them. Graduating high school, obviously making sure that the funding and transportation are there and everything is available there for somebody to go to high school and graduate, and then having an economy where you can get a job or whatever. Right? Well, that's not as much a problem, but
people need to find these things, then please email me, email your church, email your synagogue. There are entire religions dedicated to this. And this idea that there are these inescapable chains of poverty, that no decision you make can help you escape these things, if that's true, then we're not doing a good enough job on a private level. But I don't think it's true. I think the American people are the most generous people on the face of the earth, statistically speaking. That is eminently true. Republicans, by the way, do give much more money to charity than Democrats, mainly because they're religious.
When Republicans donate more money to charity, I'm curious if that includes tithing to church. I've never actually looked that up before. It wouldn't surprise me if they donated more to charity, period, but I'm curious if that includes church donations, because I feel like that doesn't count if it is.
And so our goal as individuals, not as a society, because I don't like to talk about our goals as a quote-unquote society. Our goals as individuals should be to help people make the right decisions so they can escape these bad decisions that they were about to make. And people's goals as individuals should also be not to make the bad decisions. These cycles cannot be broken by a government coming in and trying to fix them. Government tried to fix poverty in 1964.
Relatively speaking, no one in the U.S. needs to sell drugs. Or I think one of the main issues is a lack of opportunity seeking and a belief in self-imposed limits. Well, it just has to do with it has to do with what you think will be successful in life and the opportunities available to you, and then the ease of pursuing those opportunities, and then the payoffs associated with them. If you're in a community where nobody goes to college, none of your family went to college, and nobody around you seems to care about going to college, and there are opportunities to make money in criminal matters or criminal ways, that path seems a lot easier. The payoff seems a lot more, you just make more money for less effort. Like, why the would you go the college route? Like, it would take an exceptional person to choose a path of harder resistance there. When you take like middle class people and wealthy people, the kids aren't better people and that they're making these strong decisions to go to Ivy League colleges and to study. It's because they don't even have any other choices. Like, what the else are you going to do? You don't have the choice to play hooky or to, skip class and not do tests or to flunk out of school or to do these other, you don't even have that choice. Your parents don't even give you that option,
War on poverty's now been going for half a century, and by percentage, the same number of people are poor. Okay, so this is just not working. We're going to need to do something else, and it's going to need to come down to individual decision making.
Like, that's just pointless. Like, in that case, let's just self-destruct. Like nothing in the history of all of mankind has ever been changed by telling everybody to just make better decisions, right? Oh.
Just to end this,
Like I didn't know having a kid out of wedlock was bad. I didn't know that flunking out of high school was bad. I didn't know that not having a job is bad. Like people know this. It's not an information problem. It's like there's something else going on in the environment there, right?
I want to thank you for your personal kind charity, especially.
You don't have to. I didn't give you money.
I can thank you for your kindness to others, and I am very appreciative of everyone who does that. I just personally don't believe that that's going to be the solution for everyone out there.
Wait, does it look like they could be brothers? No. Like cousins. Mizkif? A little bit? Destiny, how do you tackle lack of motivation to do anything despite having good opportunities and safety nets around you? Ooh, I don't know how to deal with that one, my friend. I have heard that complaint from a lot of people. Like people that have decent like safety nets and like a family that supports them and the opportunity to do whatever, but you just like lack motivation. Good luck. I don't know how to solve that one. What's your advice to people that want to make a drastic directional shift in life? It's very easy for people to go down the path of least resistance. I don't know. That's a really tough one. Nobody has found a way to reliably get people to dramatically change in life. In my personal opinion, if you're one of these people, ignore this because this is a kind of a doomer take. But the problem is that the people that would have the psychological fortitude or aptitude to implement the necessary changes to dramatically change their life from something they really don't want would probably not end up in that situation in the first place. So I don't know. I mean, there's like a ton of ordinary pieces of advice that are given to people that, I mean, you can work to implement, but like things like making small, measurable changes in your life, adopting new routines or habits, finding like a friend to hold you accountable, small achievable goals and whatnot. Like these are all good pieces of advice. It's just a matter of doing it or join the military. I understand the economy isn't a zero-sum game, but isn't there some truth to the idea that policy is more beneficial to very wealthy people like tax cuts leads to higher asset prices, as most of the capital returned back to wealthy people is discretionary? Wouldn't you want there to be a reasonably healthy distribution of assets among classes?